All right, welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're getting into a word you probably hear all the time, maybe at work, but we're looking at it through a totally different lens. The
Right.
word is coherence.
And not coherence like making your PowerPoint slides match up.
No, definitely not.
We are leaving the corporate buzzwords behind. The text we're looking at treats coherence as a lived condition. It's less about your presentation and way more about your actual, biology.
It's a state of being,
Yeah.
and the stakes here are, they're set incredibly high from the very beginning.
Oh, yeah.
The core premise is that we've been diagnosing the world's problems completely wrong. We see failing systems or relationship drama, and we think, okay, we just need more information.
If we just had better data, we could fix this. That's always the go-to.
Exactly. But this argument just flips that on its head. It says the real problem isn't a lack of information, it's internal fragmentation.
And when people are fragmented inside, they build fragmented systems outside. You just can't build a whole world out of broken parts.
Okay, so let's unpack fragmentation, because that can sound a little abstract,
Yeah.
a bit like therapy speak.
It's actually much simpler than it sounds. And honestly, I think we've all been this person.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the classic manager who says they're all about open communication, right? That's the saying part.
Okay.
But what they feel is this deep terror of actual conflict. So when a real crisis hits, what do? They just disappear. They ghost everyone.
Oof. Yeah. I think we all know that person.
We do. And that's it right there. Saying one thing, feeling another, doing a third, that's fragmentation. And the point is, it doesn't matter if that manager has good intentions.
Right.
That internal friction just creates confusion. It creates harm, you know?
Yeah.
You can't help it when you're that misaligned.
That's a really tough concept, because it means being a, quote, good person isn't enough if you're a disjointed person.
Oh,
So if
yeah.
that's the problem, coherence is the solution. How do we define that?
It's deeper than just doing what you say you'll do. It's the
Yeah.
total alignment of your feelings, your reason, your body, and your actions.
Everything.
Everything. It's your gut, your brain, your hands, all moving in the exact same direction.
But hold on, doesn't that sound exhausting?
Yeah.
Constantly checking in with yourself to make sure your feelings and your reason are perfectly aligned.
See, that's the paradox. The text claims coherence is actually the end of exhaustion.
Wow.
Because when you're fragmented, you're burning so much energy trying to manage the gap between who you pretend to be and who you are. When you're aligned, ethical behavior becomes effortless.
Effortless. I don't know, that sounds a little too easy. Usually doing the right thing takes a ton of willpower.
Well, only when a part of you wants to do the wrong thing, right? If you're coherent, you don't have to force yourself to do less damage. It just happens naturally because you're not fighting an internal civil war.
You become more precise,
Exactly. You start putting your own distortion out into the world.
which I guess that leads directly to the point about power. There was this idea that a coherent person just loses the need to convince anyone of anything.
Yes. The need to dominate or win an argument or even to rescue people, that often comes from a place of insecurity. It's just internal noise leaking out.
So if you're internally stable...
You don't need to force your view on others, you just are. And
Right.
that stability itself changes the room.
Okay, this brings us to what I think is the most controversial idea here. The difference between coherence and ideology. The source basically says your internal alignment is more important than holding the right beliefs. And I have to play devil's advocate. That sounds dangerous. Does not matter what you believe as long as you're, internally consistent about it.
And that's the right question to ask because it's nuanced. It's not saying beliefs are irrelevant. It's saying that ideologies are unstable. They change with the culture, with politics.
It's external.
They're external. But coherence is a structural internal state. Think of it this way. Someone can hold the correct political view, but if they're driven by unacknowledged rage or fear, if they're fragmented, they will turn that ideology into a weapon.
So a broken cup is going to spill the water no matter how pure the water is.
That is a perfect analogy, yes. A fragmented person fighting for a good cause can still create toxicity and division. A coherent person brings stability to any situation they're in.
So it's not enough to just check the right boxes. It's asking a much deeper question. Are you, yourself, functioning correctly?
Yes. It makes truth livable instead of just theoretical. It's about being accurate, not just being right.
So for you listening, that's really the core of it. We look out at the world and think we need louder arguments or better policies, but maybe what we need are just more people who are internally consistent.
People who've closed that gap between what they feel in their gut and what they do with their hands.
We want to leave you with what is probably the heaviest thought from all this whole idea of internal alignment. It's not just self-help. It's not philosophy for a quiet afternoon.
No. The way the argument is framed, this isn't about feeling better. It is literally mechanics for survival.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you next time.